The Assassin's Creed series has been to many different time periods and been to many different places, but there is one place and time period in particular that I think is absolutely perfect, and yet for some reason we have not ventured to it. Well, today I want to discuss that time period and that place, but without further ado, remember, if you do enjoy today's video, don't forget to leave it a big old like. If you enjoy content like this, you want more like it, be sure to check out that button underneath the video. It used to be red, it still says subscribe. Last but not least, gotta thank my channel members. You guys help make these videos possible. If you want to join, get access to the exclusive perks that they get, be sure to check out that blue join button. Anyway, let's begin. The Roman Empire is one of the most significant civilizations in the history of humanity. It ultimately is the precursor to Western civilization, or one of the precursors to it, and has had massive influence on the cultures that succeeded it, including its own fall had an influence on all of Europe and some of the Middle East and all the various different places that they had conquered. It had such an effect, in fact, that many European leaders were referred to as Caesar, even millennia after the events that would have happened, such as czars or the Kaiser. They all are derived from the name Caesar, and that is something that I think we need to talk about with regards to Assassin's Creed. Given the end of Origins, where we do assassinate Julius Caesar, which in the context of the game, and honestly in many iterations of this assassination, is often viewed as this successful culmination of events. And in some ways, it is. But in reality, in the grand context of things, it is merely a turning point, and honestly doesn't really do that much aside from the opposite of what the people who assassinated him wanted to happen. Now, following the death of Julius Caesar, Sic Semper Tyrannis, down with the tyrant, that would lead to more Roman civil wars. Now, we did see some of Caesar's civil war, and on his own, there was a lot of Roman civil wars. So, try to keep up. He fought with Pompey the Great. That would be one of the most recent ones, and partly the one that we saw in Origins. But following his death would be more Roman civil wars. Who would have guessed? Rome, they love fighting and stuff like that. Now, this would be between Mark Antony, Cleopatra, Augustus, and against the conspirators, which would involve people like Brutus, who we do see as one of the statues underneath the Villa Auditore, and we also see in the end of Origins. Brutus and Amunet would be the ones who orchestrate the death of Julius Caesar, along with the other Roman senators who were present at the time. Ultimately, again, all of this would lead to another Roman civil war. Brutus would fall, Cleopatra would fall, Mark Antony would fall, of course, because Augustus turns his attention away from just the conspirators to also, I need to consolidate my power, making him this very potentially interesting figurehead of the Order of the Ancients at the time, which I'll get a little bit more into the different orders, the different factions in the game, and sort of how it could really make for a fascinating Assassin's Creed game, probably one of the best that we've had in a long time. But given all of these very important historical events and very important historical figures that I would love to see play out on screen, I think that enough should get people excited for a game set in one of the most interesting places in history, that of course being the Roman Empire and the city of Rome at its height. I know we've been to Rome before in this franchise, either for the little part in Origins or for Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which mainly takes place inside of Rome, but that is of course Renaissance Rome, and all we get to see are the ruins of many of the buildings from the time of the Roman Empire. Seeing Rome at its height during the Age of Antiquity would be awesome to see, from the dense city streets to the awesome parkour opportunities it might offer in terms of gameplay. I think it could make for a fantastic setting. I think having Rome as this central city, and then having places like, of course, going to venture off for the Cleopatra assassination or something like that, doing something that's a little bit more traditional feeling. And I think if Mirage pans out, this may be able to lend itself towards a game like this happening. I think that could make for a very, very awesome setting. I think having a living city where you do have random events that can happen here and there that you can interact with would be really awesome. Having the feeling that you're free on the rooftops, being able to fly around from border to border within the city, but when you're on the ground, there's this unsure, ominous vibe around every single corner. I think that could make for an awesome aura to an awesome city, not to mention all the different monuments and sites you could go and see, and seeing it with modern graphical capabilities would be absolutely stunning and offer some really, really incredible gameplay, in my opinion. I think some of this could also play into the philosophical conflicts. I mean this in terms of gameplay and storyline. Again, the unsure feeling around every corner could lend itself to the chaos and the idea that what the Hidden Ones have done in trying to free Rome from this tyrant has only led to chaos inside of the city and inside of the empire, whereas you have someone like Augustus, who is now beloved by the people, who's trying to consolidate people, even though he most likely represents the Order of the Ancients and all of this extreme order. And Augustus, again, could make for a fantastic villain, I think, and could really lead to some awesome philosophical conflicts. One of his famous lines is that he found Rome a city of rubble and turned it into a city of marble. Now, if that doesn't sound like a villain in an Assassin's Creed game, I don't know what does, because that guy sounds like he's going to be very interesting to talk to. I think something like a blend of maybe a Haytham Kenway, along with some of that charm of what Caesar had in Origins, could make for an interesting type of villain. Get some very strong convictions in what he believes, even if all of it may not necessarily be right, he makes it sound like it's right, and that's why he can get so many people to follow him. And again, this can play not only into dialogue and story and how he and Amunet may talk to each other in cutscenes or in gameplay, but also just the way the city is as a whole. Could the Hidden Ones and their actions lead to more chaos? Could they end up seeing themselves potentially as being villains because of all the chaos they have brought upon Rome, while Augustus is over here bringing order to everything? I think it could ask some really great questions, and I think making this fledgling brotherhood ask themselves if what they're doing is the right thing could be really, really interesting, and a nice take on the creed and the brotherhood, and really trying to find out what this fledgling brotherhood stands for. Why do they believe the things that they believe? What reinforces these beliefs and these convictions? We saw a little bit of that in Origins. We saw a little bit of that in the Hidden Ones DLC. But beyond that, what really establishes these convictions for the long term when truly put to the test by someone like Augustus, who is really doing a lot of the right things with their idea of order? Why should people still choose to side with the Hidden Ones and their ideas of freedom? Why should they do that? I think that'd make, again, for a fascinating storyline. I think reinforcing that with gameplay that supports those types of ideas, if doing certain actions inside of the city could lead to more chaos, or if it could lead to good things, what could we do to really make everything blend together and send one cohesive message with one fascinating time period, one fascinating setting with some awesome characters? How can we make that all come together? I think this could be a fantastic game if put together properly, if it's something that they want to do. Let me know down below if you think that train has passed. Do you think that a somewhat, I don't even know if it would be a spiritual successor to a game like Origins, because I think it would be quite different in terms of how it plays, but given that a lot of the characters are the same and the time period is pretty much the same, let me know down below what you think. Do you think that train has passed? Do you think that it has left the station? Let me know and let's have a conversation. Or do you think that this is something that could still happen? Do you think it's still relevant for this franchise? Do you think it's something that they should do? Let's have a conversation down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.